I'm not eating books. You're eating books. I have to stop eating books. We're moving on from whomever that guy from Robert Westall. We're not doing that ish anymore. We're like just I I get that he was writing from like a certain era or whatever, but I still do not appreciate some of the just some of the way that he was talking about women. Just like it's just a little hint of blech. And I there was a scene in the last one. I don't want to risk that kind of scene coming up in another book. I'd rather or in another story in that book. I would just read I'd rather read another book entirely and not put that energy into anywhere that I am. So we're moving on to I'm wearing my ears today, by the way, because I love my ears. So we're reading The Halloween Tree today because I saw somebody review. Well, they didn't review the book, they reviewed the cover of the book on YouTube. And I was like, you know what? I am judging. I am judging that cover. And that cover says, yes, 10 out of 10. 8 out of 8. Best pie at the festival. So we're just gonna do this one because I also listen. I was supposed to do Goosebumps, but then I had 15 overdue books for the library that I had to turn in, and I'm not allowed to check out any other books until those are officially turned in. So Goosebumps is gonna have to wait because I am bad at the library. I am bad at keeping track of things, and like I will have them as a stack of to be read for like some of them I've had since September because I was gonna read them, and I just kept telling myself I'll read them eventually. I'll read them eventually. I'm not. This is why I go to the library and I get one book. And then I look around to see if there are other books that I might be interested in. And then I leave with 7 books. And then those 7 books stay on my television console, on my entertainment center. And they just sit there until I get around to them. And then sometimes I do. Sometimes I read 7 books back to back. Other times I'm like, it's fucking winter, and I've had this since last winter because I just felt bad about not reading it. So I just looked at it and stared at it and like, you know, you just feel guilty about not doing something, so you just don't do it and you let the guilt get worse instead of actually doing something about it. I don't It's like an autism thing, an ADD thing. I don't fucking know what it is. It I'm missing like 2 or 3 of my disco balls. Duct tape ain't shit on these. Sorry. Sorry. Anyway. Um Halloween tree. Let's do that now. Yes, please. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm gonna read the back first, just in case you've never heard of it, actually. let me On Halloween night, 8 trick-or-treaters gather at the haunted house by the edge of town, ready for an adventure. But when something whisks their friend Pip away, only one man can help the boys find him. Join this sinister, carapace, clavicle, Momshroud. Those are just words. As he takes them on an unforgettable journey through space and time, deep into the mysteries of the spookiest of all nights. Can the boys save Pip before it's too late? I wonder, shall we? Will they? Let's find out. It was a small town by a small river and a small lake in a small northern part of a Midwest state. Oh, the Midwest. There wasn't so much wilderness around you couldn't see the town. But, on the other hand, there wasn't so much town you couldn't see and feel and touch and smell the wilderness. The town was full of trees and dried grass and dead flowers now that autumn was here, and full of fences to walk on and sidewalks to skate on and a large ravine to tumble in and yell across, and the town was full of boys. Boys. And it was the afternoon of Halloween, and all the houses shut against a cool wind, and the town full of cold sunlight. But suddenly, the day was gone. Night came out from under each tree and spread. Behind the doors of all the houses there was a scurry of mouse feet, muted cries, flickerings of light. Behind one door, Tom Skelton, age 13, stopped and listened. The wind outside, nested in each tree, prowled the sidewalks in invisible treads like unseen cats. Tom Skelton shivered. Anyone could see that the wind was a special wind this night, and the darkness took on a special feel because it was All Hallows Eve. Everything seemed cut from soft black velvet or gold or orange velvet. You just said velvet. I'm giving you a B+. Smoke panted up out of 1,000 chimneys like the plumes of funeral parades. From kitchen windows drifted 2 pumpkin smells, gourds being cut and pies being baked. The cries behind the locked house doors grew more exasperated as shadows of boys flew by the windows. Half-dressed boys, grease paint on their cheeks, here a hunchback, there a medium-sized giant. A small, medium, at large? Let me know if you've heard that joke. Attics were still being rummaged, old locks broken, old steamer chests disemboweled for costumes. Oh, I like that word. That's one of my favorite words. Interesting phrasing. Tom Skelton put on his bones. He's just a sack. He's just a skin sack. He's got to put on his bones. He grinned at the spinal cord, the rib cage, the kneecaps stitched white on black cotton. Lucky, he thought. What a name you got. Tom Skelton. Great for Halloween. Everyone calls you Skeleton. So what do you wear? Bones. Wham! 8 front doors banged shut. 8 boys made a series of beautiful leaps over flower pots, rails, dead ferns, bushes, landing on their own dry starched front lawns. Galloping, rushing, they seized a final sheet, adjust a last mask, tugged at strange mushroom caps or wigs, shouting at the way the wind took them along, helping their running. Glad of the wind or cursing boy curses as masks fell off or hung sideways or stuffed their noses with a muslin smell like a dog's hot breath. Or just letting their sheer exhilaration of being alive and out on this night pull their lungs and shape their throats into a yell and a yell and a yell. 8 boys collided at one intersection. Here I am, witch, ape man, skeleton, said Tom, hilarious inside his bones. Gargoyle, beggar, Mr. Death himself. Bang! They shook back from their conscious, all happy, fouled, and tangled under a street corner light. The swaying electric lamp belled in the wind like a cathedral bell. The bricks of the street became planks of a drunken ship, all tilted and foundered with dark and light. Behind each mask was a boy. I had assumed. Who's that? Tom Skelton pointed. Won't tell. Secret, cried the witch, disguising his voice. Everyone laughed. Who's that? Mummy, cried the boy inside the ancient yellow wrappings, like an immense cigar stalking the night streets. And who's... No time, said someone hidden behind yet another mystery of muslin and paint. Trick or treat! Yeah! Shrieking, wailing, full of banshee mirth they ran, on everything except sidewalks, going up into the air, over bushes, and down almost upon yipping dogs. Yeah, that's typical boy behavior. Just, why go through logically when you can just jump over shit? I would promptly land on my ass. Just immediately. I wouldn't even have to jump. I would just, because I'm very good at walking. I have excellent coordination. That's a lie. But in the middle of running, laughing, barking, suddenly, as if a great hand of night and wind and smelling something wrong stopped them, they stopped. You don't have to say that twice. It's fine, but you don't have to say it twice. Stopping stopped them stoppily. They stopped. 6, 7, 8. That can't be. Count again. 4, 5, 6. Should be 9 of us. Someone's missing. They sniffed each other like fearful beasts. What? Do boys smell each other? Is that a thing? Am I, like, out of the loop about boys? I thought I knew boys. What with their cooties and such? Because boys have cooties. You can't convince me otherwise. They sniffed each other like feral beasts, like fearful beasts. Pipkin's not here! How did they know? They were all hidden behind masks. And yet, they could feel his absence. Pipkin! He's never missed a Halloween in a zillion years! Boy, this is awful! Come on! In one vast swerve, one dog-like trot and ramble, they circled round and down the middle of the cobble brick street, blown the leaves through before a storm. Here's his place! They pulled to a halt. There was Pipkin's house, but not enough pumpkins in the windows. Not enough corn shocks on the porch. Not enough spooks peering out through the dark glass in the high upstairs tower room. Gosh, said someone. What if Pipkin's sick? It wouldn't be Halloween without Pipkin. Not Halloween. They moaned, and someone threw a crab apple at Pipkin's front door. Made a small thump, like a rabbit kicking the wood. They waited, sad for no reason, lost for no reason. They thought of Pipkin and a Halloween that might be a rotten pumpkin with a dead candle if Pipkin wasn't there. Come on, Pipkin. Come out and save the night. What is this? Ooh. Pages are stuck together. Why were they waiting, afraid for one small boy? Because Joe Pipkin was the greatest boy who ever lived. The grandest boy who ever fell out of a tree and laughed at the joke. The finest boy who ever raced around the track, winning and then seeing his friends a mile back somewhere, stumbled and fell, waiting for them to catch up, and joined breast to breast, breaking the winner's tape. Breast. The jolliest boy who ever hunted out all the haunted houses in town, which are hard to find, and came back to report on them and take all the kids to ramble through the basements and scramble up the ivy outside bricks and shout down the chimneys and make water off the roofs, hooting and chimpanzee dancing and ape bellowing. Don't pee on people's roofs. Let's establish that right now. Do not pee on people's roofs. Unless it's your own roof. Then do what you want. Do whatever you want. It's good for the plumbing, I guess. That's showers. Never mind. The day Joe Pipkin was born, all the Orange Crush and knee-high soda bottles in the world fizzed over, and joyful bees swarmed countrysides to sting maiden ladies. On his birthdays, the lake pulled out from the shore in midsummer and ran back with a tidal wave of boys, a big leap of bodies and a down crash of laughs. Dawn's lying in bed. You heard a bird peck at the window. Pipkin. You stuck your head out in the snow-water, clear summer morning air. That's a sentence. There in the dew on the lawn, rabbit prints showed where, just a moment ago, not a dozen rabbits, but one rabbit had circled and crisscrossed in a glory of life and exultation, bounding hedges, clipping ferns, tromping clover. It resembled the switchyards down at the rail depot. A million tracks in the grass, but no Pipkin. And here he rose up like a wild sunflower in the garden. His great round face burned with fresh sun. His eyes flashed Morse code signals. Hurry up! It's almost over. What? Today, now, 6 a.m., dive down, wade in it. Or, this summer, before you know, bang, it's gone, quick. And he sank away in sunflowers and came up all onions. Pipkin, oh dear Pipkin, finest and loveliest of boys. I'm thinking of Pippin from The Hobbit right now, just so everyone's clear, just so we're all on the same page. Pipkin, Pippin, it's the same guy. It's the same guy. How he ran so fast, no one knew. His tennis shoes were ancient. They were colored greens of forest jogged through, brown from old harvest trudges through September a year back. Tar stained from sprints along the docks and beaches where the coal barges came in, yellow from careless dogs, splinter filled from climbing wood fences. Boy, get your ass a new pair of shoes. What the fuck? His clothes were scarecrow clothes, worn by Pipkin's dogs all night, loaned to them for strolls through town and chew marks along the cuffs and fall marks on the seat. His hair? His hair was a great hedgehog bristle of bright brown blonde daggers sticking in all directions. His ears, pure peach fuzz. His hands mittened with dust and the good smell of Airedales and peppermint and stolen peaches from the far country orchards. Pipkin. An assemblage of speed, smells, textures, a cross-section of all the boys who ever ran, fell, got up, and ran again. No one, in all the years, had ever seen him sitting still. The boy's got ADHD. It sounds like the boy's got ADHD. He was hard to remember in school, in one seat for 1 hour. He was the last in the schoolhouse, and the first exploded out when the bell ended the day. Pipkin, sweet Pipkin, who yodeled and played the kazoo and hated girls more than all the other boys in the gang combined. Methinks thou doth protest too much. Pipkin, whose arm around your shoulder and secret whisper of great doings this day protected you from the world. Pipkin, God got up. You are really like describing this kid, man. Like, you're not supposed to let your other children know that one of them is the favorite, even if you have one. I think Pipkin's your favorite. God got up early just to see Pipkin come out of his house, like one of those people on a weather clock. And the weather was always fine where Pipkin was. Pipkin. This is going to be 16 more pages of describing Pipkin, isn't it? They stood in front of his house. Any moment now, that door would open wide. Pipkin would jump out in a blast of fire and smoke. And Halloween would really begin. Come on, Joe. Oh, Pipkin, they whispered. Come on. These boys all got a crush on Pipkin, don't they? I think they do. I think all these boys. Do I want to be him or do I want to be with him? Is what I'm getting. Yes. The front door opened. Pipkin stepped out. Not flew. Not banged. Not exploded. Stepped out. And came down the walk to meet his friends. Not running. And not wearing a mask. No mask! Pipkin! They shouted to scare away their uneasiness. Oh, wait. Hold on. Sorry. But moving along like an old man, almost. Same, squad. Same. Fuck. Pipkin! They shouted to scare away their uneasiness. Hey, gang, said Pipkin. His face was pale. He tried to smile, but his eyes looked funny. He was holding his right side with one hand as if he had a boil there. They all looked at his hand. He took his hand away from his side. Well, he said with faint enthusiasm, we ready to go? Yeah, but you don't look ready, said Tom. Are you sick? On Halloween? Said Pipkin. You kidding? Where's your costume? You go on ahead. I'll catch up. No, Pipkin, we'll wait for you to... Go on, Pipkin said, saying it slowly. his face deathly pale now. His hand was back on his side. "You got a stomachache?" asked Tom. "You told your folks?" No, I can't. They'd..." Tears burst from Pipkin's eyes. "It's nothing. I'll tell you. Look, go straight on toward the ravine. Head for the house, okay? The place of the haunts, yeah? Meet you there." "You swear?" "Swear. Wait till you see my costume." The boys began to back off. On the way, they touched his elbow or knocked him gently on the chest or ran their knuckles along his chin in a fake fight. "Okay, Pipkin, as long as you're sure." "I'm sure." He took his hand away from his side. His face colored for a moment as if the pain were gone. "On your marks, get set, go!" When Joe Pipkin said go, they went. They ran. They ran backward halfway down the block so they could see Pipkin standing there waving at them. "Hurry up, Pipkin! I'll catch you!" he shouted, a long way off. The night swallowed him. Pardon me. They ran, but when they looked back again, he was gone. They banged doors, they shouted trick or treat, and their brown paper bags began to fill with incredible sweets. "Why aren't you bringing a pillowcase?" "Bring a whole-ass pillowcase, you silly goose." That's what I used to do. And still would, if I weren't 30. They galloped with their teeth glued shut with pink gum. They ran with red wax lips bedazzling their faces. I used to get those every single time we went to Farrell's, which is gone now. It's in Portland. It was in Portland. It was like an ice cream place, and they had their front reception area, like the entryway was just floor to ceiling covered with different kinds of candy. And I always picked the red wax lips, even though I didn't actually like them that much. I don't know why. It's because they were bright red and they were lips and I thought they were cool. And then every single time I remembered that they were more waxy because they turned into gum when you chewed on them, but they were like more waxy than they were actual gum, and it made me upset every single time. And yet every single time that's the only thing I picked because that's the one I was used to picking. You know when you go to a restaurant and you already know what you're going to order because you ordered it every single fucking time? It was that. It was that. Anyway, tangent. Sorry. I do that sometimes. Obviously. But the people who met them at doors looked like candy factory duplicates of their own mothers and fathers. It was like never leaving home. Too much kindness flashed from every window and every portal. What they wanted was to hear dragons belch in basement and banged castle doors. And so, still looking back for Pipkin, they reached the edge of town and the place where civilization fell away in darkness. The ravine. The ravine, filled with varieties of night sounds, lurkings of black ink streaming creek, lingerings of autumns that rolled over in fire and bronze and died 1,000 years ago. From this deep place sprang mushroom and toadstool and cold stone frog and crawdad and spider. That's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things. There's a long tunnel down there under the earth in which poisoned waters dripped and the echoes never ceased calling, "Come, come, come, and if you do, you'll stay forever, forever." Drip, forever, rustle, run, rush, whisper, and never go. Never go, go, go. The boys lined up on the rim of darkness looking down. And then Tom Skelton, cold in his bones, whistled, his breath in his teeth like the wind blowing over the bedroom screen at night. He pointed. "Hey! That's where Pipkin told us to go!" He vanished. All looked. They saw his small shape race down the dirt path into 100 million tons of night, all crammed in that huge dark pit, that dank cellar, that deliciously frightening ravine. Yelling, they plunged after. Where there had been was empty. The town was left behind to suffer itself with sweetness. They ran down through the ravine at a swift rush, all laughing, jostling, all elbows and ankles, all steamy snort and roused about, and to stop in collision where Tom Skelton stopped and pointed up the path. "There," he whispered. "There's the only house in town worth visiting on Halloween. There." "Yeah," said everyone. For it was true. The house was special and fine and tall and dark. There must have been 1,000 windows in its sides, all shimmering with cold stars. It looked as if it had been cut out of black marble instead of built out of timbers. And inside, who could guess how many rooms, hallways, breezeways, attics, superior and inferior attics, some higher than others, some more filled with dust and webs and ancient leaves or gold buried above the ground in the sky, but lost away so high no ladder in town could take you there. Is this the Winchester Mansion? Are you literally talking about the Winchester Mansion right now? Like 28 bathrooms and 4 bedrooms or whatever the fuck that number is? I don't know. I haven't looked that up in a long time. Nope, don't remember. Sorry. The house beckoned with its towers, invited with its gummed shut doors. Pirate ships are a tonic. Ancient forts are a boon. But a house? A haunted house. On All Hallows Eve? 8 small hearts beat up an absolute storm of glory and approbation. "Come on." But they were already crowding up the path, until they stood at last by a crumbling wall, looking up and still farther up at the great tomb-yard top of the old house. For that's what it seemed. The high mountain peak of the mansion was littered with what looked like black bones or iron rods, and enough chimneys to choke out smoke signals from 36 fires on sooty hearths hidden far below the dim bowels of this monster place. With so many chimneys, the roof seemed a vast cemetery, each chimney signifying the burial place of some old god of fire or enchantress of steam, smoke, and firefly spark. Even as they watched, a kind of bleak exhalation of soot breathed up out of some 4 flues, darkening the sky still more and putting out some few stars. "Boy," said Tom Skelton, "Pipkin sure knows what he's talking about." "Boy," said all, agreeing. They crept along a weed-infested path toward the crumpled front porch. Tom Skelton alone itched his bony foot up on the front porch step. The others gasped at his bravery. So now, finally in a mob, a compact mass of sweating boys moved up on the porch amid fierce cries of the planks underfoot and shudderings of their bodies. Each wished to pull back, swivel about, run, but found himself trapped against the boy behind him or in front or to the side. So, with the pseudopod thrust out here or there, the amoebic form, the large perspiration of boys leaned and made a run and a stop to the front of the house, which was as tall as a coffin and twice as thin. They stood there for a long moment, various hands reaching out like the legs of an immense spider as if to twist that cold mob and reach up for the knocker on that front door. Meanwhile, the wooden floorings of the porch sank and wallowed beneath their weight, threatening at every shift or proportion to give way and fling them into some cockroach abyss beneath. The planks, each tuned to an A or an F or a C, sang out their uncanny music as heavy shoes scraped on them. And if there had been a time, and it were noon, they might have danced out a cadaver's tune or a skeleton's rigadoon. For who can resist an ancient porch which, like a gigantic xylophone, only wants to be jumped on to make music? But they were not thinking this. Henry Hank Smith, for that's who it was, hidden inside his black witch's costume, cried, "Look!" And all looked at the knocker on the door. Tom's hand trembled out to touch it. "A Marley knocker!" "What?" "You know, Scrooge and Marley, A Christmas Carol," whispered Tom. "Sorry. You know, Scrooge and Marley, A Christmas Carol," whispered Tom. And indeed the face that made up the knocker on the door was the face of a man with a dread toothache, his jaw bandaged, his hair askew, his teeth prolapsed. I have never heard of that phrasing for teeth. For other things, absolutely. Yes, internal things that are not teeth. How do you. Because when. Because, like. That's gonna bug me. That's gonna bug me. Dead as a doornail Marley, friend of Scrooge, inhabitor of lands beyond the grave, doomed to wander this earth forever until. Knock, said Henry Hank. Tom Skelton took hold of old Marley's cold and grisly jaw, lifted it, and let it fall. All jumped at the concussion. The entire house shook. Its bones ground together. Shades snapped, furled up so that the windows blinked wide their ghastly eyes. Tom Skelton cat-leaped onto the porch rail, staring up. On the rooftop, weird weathercocks spun. Two-headed roosters whirled in the sneezed wind. Sneezed, really? A gargoyle on the western rim of the house erupted twin snorts of rain-funneled dust. And down the long, snaking serpentine rainspouts of the house, after the sneeze had died and the weathercock ceased spinning, vagrant wisps of autumn leaf and cobweb fell gusting out onto the dark grass. Tom whirled to look at the faintly shuddering windows. Moonlit reflections trembled in the glass like schools of disturbed silver minnows. Then the front door gave a shake, a twist of its knob, a grimace of the Marley knocker, and flung itself. The wind made by the suddenly opening door almost knocked the boys off the porch. They seized one another's elbows, yelling. Then the darkness within the house inhaled. A wind sucked through the gaping door. It pulled at the boys, dragging them across the porch. They had to lean back so as to not be snatched into the deep, dark hall. They struggled, shouted, clutched the porch rails. But then the wind ceased. Darkness moved within darkness. Inside the house, a long way off, someone was walking toward the door. Whoever it was must have been dressed in all black, for they could see nothing but a pale white face drifting on the air. An evil smile came and hung in the doorway before them. Behind the smile, the tall man hid in shadow. They could see his eyes now, small pinpoints of green fire in little charred pits of sockets, looking out at them. "Well," said Tom, "trick or treat?" "Trick," said the smile in the dark. "Treat?" "Yes, sir." The wind played a flute in a chimney somewhere, an old song about time and dark and far places. The tall man shut up his smile like a bright pocket knife. "No treats, only trick," he said. The door slammed. The house thundered with showers of dust. Dust puffed out the rain spout again in fluffs like an emergence of downy cats. Dust gasped from open windows. Dust snorted from the porch boards under their feet. The boys stared at the locked shut fast front door. The Marley knocker was not scowling now, but smiling an evil smile. "What's he mean?" asked Tom. "No treats, only trick." Backing off around the side of the house, they were astonished at the sounds it made. A whole rigmarole of whispers, squeaks, creaks, wails, and murmurs, and the night wind was careful to let the boys hear them all. With every step they took, the great house leaned after them with soft groans. They rounded the far side of the house and stopped, for there was the tree. And it was such a tree that, as they had never seen in all their lives, it stood in the middle of a vast yard behind the terribly strange house. And this tree rose up some 100 feet in the air, taller than the high roofs, and full, and round, and well-branched, and covered all over with the rich assortments of red and brown and yellow autumn leaves. "But," whispered Tom, "look! What's up in that tree?" for the tree was hung with a variety of pumpkins of every shape and size and number of tints of hues of smoky yellow or bright orange. "A pumpkin tree," someone said. "No," said Tom. The wind blew among the high branches and tossed their bright burdens softly. "A Halloween tree," said Tom. And he was right. Because that's what the book is called. That's what the book is called. This is the house. It's much less complex than I thought it was going to be. To me, the way it was described, it sounded like it had 40 chimneys or something. And this is actually, I want to live in this house. I'm not going to lie. I would love to live in a house like this, but it's underwhelming based on the description. Yeah, that's only 4 chimneys, bro. That is only 4 chimneys and maybe... I see 1 attic. This whole top floor, this whole top floor, unless there's one up here, but this whole top floor could be the attic. Just one big ass attic. Although you can have, oh my god, I might be an idiot. You can have attic rooms, I guess, but would they count as multiple attics? Because I'm thinking of attics stacked on top of each other. You go from one attic and then climb a ladder and get into another attic and then climb another ladder and get into another attic. Is it just all on the same floor but multiple attics? Am I stupid? Am I a bit of an idiot? I might just be. Moving on. The pumpkins in the tree were not mere pumpkins. Each had a face sliced in it. Each face was different. Every eye was a stranger eye. Every nose was a weirder nose. Every mouth smiled hideously in some new way. There must have been 1,000 pumpkins on this. Jesus. That's a big-ass tree. There's a lot of fucking pumpkins. Holy shit. Hung high and on every branch. 1,000 smiles, 1,000 grimaces, and twice times 1,000 glares and winks and blinks and leerings of fresh-cut eyes. And as the boys watched, a new thing happened. The pumpkins began to come alive. One by one, starting at the bottom of the tree and the nearest pumpkins, candles took fire with raw interiors. This one, and then that, and this, and then still another. And on up and around, these pumpkins here, 3 pumpkins here, 7 pumpkins still higher. A dozen clustered beyond. 100, 500, 1,000 pumpkins lit their candles, which is to say, brightened up their faces, showed fire in their square or round or curiously slanted eyes. Flame guttered in their toothed mouths. Sparks lipped out their ripe-cut ears. And from somewhere, 2 voices, 3 or maybe 4 voices whispered and chanted a kind of sing-song or old sea shanty of the sky and time and the earth turning over into sleep. The rainspouts blew spider dust. "It's big, it's broad," a voice smoked from the rooftop chimney. "It's broad, it's bright. It fills the sky of All Hallows Night." From open windows somewhere, cobwebs drifted. "The strangest sight you've ever seen, the monster tree on Halloween." The candles flickered and flared. The wind crooned in, the wind crooned out, the pumpkin mouths tuning the song. "The leaves have burned to golden red, the grass is brown, the old year dead, but hang the harvest high, oh see, the candle constellations on the Halloween tree." Tom felt his mouth stir like a small mouse wanting to sing. "The stars they turn, the candles burn, and the mouse leaves scurry on the cold wind borne, and a marb of smiles shines down on thee, from the gourds hung high on the Halloween tree. The smile of the witch, and the smile of the cat, and the smile of the beast, the smile of the bat, the smile of the reaper taking his fee, all cut and glimmer on the Halloween tree. Smoke seemed to sift from Tom's mouth. Halloween tree. All the boys whispered it. Halloween tree. And then there was silence. And during the silence, the last of the triples and quadruples of All Hallows tree candles were lit in titanic constellations, woven up through the black branches and peeking down through the twigs and crisp leaves. And the tree had now become one vast, substantial smile. The last of the pumpkins were now lit. The air around the tree was Indian summer breathing warm. The tree exhaled sooty smoke and a raw pumpkin smell upon them. "Gosh," said Tom Spartan. "Hey, what kind of place is this?" said Henry Hank, the witch. "I mean, first the house, that man, and no treats, only tricks, and now I never saw a tree like this in my life. Like a Christmas tree, only bigger, and all those candles and pumpkins. What's it mean? What's it celebrate?" "Celebrate!" a vast voice whispered somewhere, perhaps in a chimney soot bellows. Or perhaps all the windows of the house opened like mouths at the same moment behind them, sliding up, sliding down, announcing the word "Celebrate!" with breathings out of darkness. "Yes," said the gigantic whisper, which trembled all the candles and all the pumpkins. "Celebration." The boys leaped around, but the house was still. The windows were closed and brimmed with pools of moonlight. "Last one in's an old maid!" cried Tom suddenly, and a bond of leaves lay awaiting the old fires, old gold. And the boys ran and dived at that huge, lovely pile of autumn treasure. And in the moment of diving, about to vanish beneath the leaves in crisp swarms, yelling, shouting, shoving, falling, there was an immense gulf of breath, a seizing in of air. The boys yelped, pulled back as if an invisible whip had struck them. For coming up out of the pile of leaves was a bony white hand, all by itself. And following it, all smiles, hidden one moment, but now revealed as it slid upward, was a white skull. And what had been a delicious pool of oak and elm and poplar leaves to thrash and sink and hide in, now became the last place on all this world the boys wanted to be. For the white bony hand was flying on the air, and the white skull rose to hover before them, and the boys fell back, colliding, sneezing out their air in panics, until in one wild mass they fell flat upon the earth, and writhed and tore at the grass to fight free, to scramble, try to run. "Help!" they cried. "Oh, yes, help," said the skull. Then peal after peal of laughter froze them further as they, hand upon the air, the bony skeleton hand reached up, took hold of the white skull face, and peeled it down and off. The boys blinked once behind their masks. Their jaws dropped, though none could see them dropping. The huge man in dark clothes soared up out of the leaves, taller and yet taller. He grew like a tree. He put out branches that were hands. He stood framed against the Halloween tree itself, his outstretched arms and long, white, bony fingers festooned with orange globes of fire and burning smiles. His eyes were pressed tight as he roared his laughter. His mouth gaped open wide to let the autumn wind rush out. "No treat, boys, no, not treat. Trick, boys, trick, trick." They lay there waiting for the earthquake to come, and it came. The tall man's laughter took hold of the ground and gave it a shake. This tremor passed through their bones, came out their mouths, and it came out in the form of still more laughter. They sat up amid the ruins of the thrashed-about leaf pile, surprised. They put their hands to their masks to feel the hot air leaping out in small gusts of echoing mirth. Then they looked up at the man as if to verify their surprise. "Yes, boys, that was trick. You'd forgotten. No, you never knew." and he leaned against the tree, finishing out his fits of happiness, shaking the trunk, making the 1,000 pumpkins shiver, and the fire inside smoke to dance. Warmed by their laughter, the boys got up to feel their bones and see if anything was broken. Nothing was. They stood in a small mob under the Halloween tree, waiting, for they knew this was only the beginning of something new and special and grand and fine. "What?" said Tom Skelton. "Well, Tom," said the man. "Tom? Is that you?" Tom, in the skeleton mask, stiffened. "Or is it Bob? Or Fred? No, that must be Ralph," said the man quickly. "All of those," sighed Tom, clapping his mask hard in place, relieved. "Yeah, all," said everyone. The man nodded, smiling. "Well, now you know something about Halloween you never knew before. How did you like my trick?" "Trick, yes, trick!" The boys were catching fire with the idea. It made all the good glue go out of their joints and put a little dust of sin in their blood. They felt it stir around until it pumped on up to light their eyes and stretch their lips to show their happy dog teeth. "Yeah, sure." "Is that what you used to do on Halloween?" asked the witch boy. "This and more. Let me introduce myself. Mountshroud is the name. Carapace clavicle Mountshroud. Does that have a ring, boys? Does it sound for you?" "It sounds," the boys thought. Oh, it sounds. Mountshroud. "A fine name," said Mr. Mountshroud, giving it a full sepulchral night church sound. "And a fine night. And all the deep, dark, wild, long history of Halloween waiting to swallow us whole." "Swallow us?" "Yes," cried Mountshroud. "Lads, look at yourselves. Why are you, boy, wearing that skull face? And you, boy, carrying a scythe? And you, lad, made up like a witch? And you. He thrust his bony finger at each mask. "You don't know, do you? You just put on those faces and old mothball clothes and jump out. But you don't really know, do you?" "Well," said Tom, a mouse behind his skull-white muslin. No. Yeah," said the devil boy. "Come to think of it, why am I wearing this?" He fingered his red cloak and sharp rubber horns and lovely pitchfork. "And me this," said the ghost, trailing its long white graveyard sheets. And all the boys were given to wonder and touch their own costumes and refit their own masks. "Then, wouldn't it be fun for you to find out?" asked Mr. Mountshroud. "I'll tell you. No, I'll show you. If only there was time." "It's only 6:30. Halloween hasn't even begun," said Tom, cold in his bones. "True," said Mountshroud. "All right, lads, come along." He strode. They ran. At the edge of the deep, dark night ravine, he pointed over the rim of the hills and the earth, away from the light of the moon, under the dim light of strange stars. The wind fluttered his black cloak and the hood that half shadowed and now half revealed his almost fleshless face. "There, do you see it, lads?" "What?" "The undiscovered county. Out there, look long, look deep, make a feast. The past, boys, the past. Oh, it's dark, yes, and full of nightmare. Everything that Halloween ever was lies buried there. Will you dig for bones, boys? Do you have the stuff?" He burned his gaze at them. "What is Halloween? How did it start? Where? Why? What for? Witches, cats, mummy dust, taunts. It's all there in that country from which no one returns. Will you dive into the dark ocean, boys? Will you fly into the dark sky?" The boys swallowed hard. Someone peeped. "We'd like to, but Pipkin. We've got to wait for Pipkin." "Yeah, Pipkin sent us to your place. We couldn't go without him." As if summoned in this instant, they heard a cry from the far side of the ravine. "Hey, Here I am, called a frail voice. They saw his small figure standing with a lit pumpkin in the far ravine edge. This way! They all yelled. Pipkin, quick! Coming, was the cry. I don't feel so good, but I had to come. Wait for me! I think I'm gonna stop there for now. Just for shits and giggles. Why not? So that'll be it for this stream. It's only like 10 minutes shorter than the other ones have been. But this is what we're gonna be doing for the next, hold on. I'm trying to do math here. Don't judge me. Because if we read 5 chapters in 1 hour, and there are... I could look at the front. I could look at the front, because I'm smart. Or could I? I guess not. It doesn't have a chapter list. It does not have a chapter list. Hold on. I'll figure it out. 19. Okay. So, that's 5 chapters in 1 hour. 10, 15, 20, 20-ish. So, 3 more streams and we'll be finished with this one. We could do just this one. We could go back and forth between that and Goosebumps, because I did turn in my books. I'm allowed to check out books now, and I could do that too. So we can go back and forth. We'll just let me know. Input is important. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you want to see the whole thing on YouTube before it expires, it'll be there. Do the things that you do on YouTube. It's up to you, man. If you want to subscribe, that's cool. If not, I don't know you. I don't know your life story. It's not gonna bother me none. But if you like it, then that would be nice. It's up to you. Your choice. I ain't telling you how to live your life. Goodbye.